Hello and welcome to the Green Profit Academy Pros podcast. This show digs into the challenges in growing a lawn care and landscape business while maximizing your profit. I'm Christine Era.
And I'm Steve Bousquet. We are the green industry experts in profit, growth, and leadership. Hi, I'm Steve Bousquet, and I want to welcome you to the first episode of our first podcast, or Green Profit Academy Pros. I'm here today with Christine Era. She is my partner at Green Profit Academy, and we are recording our first ever Green Profit Academy Pros podcast. Welcome, Christine.
Thanks. I'm excited. I know we've been talking about getting this started for a while.
Yeah, we had a lot to do over the past year or so, and we've been super busy developing programs and helping clients. So we got to do this podcast. We've got our lots of good content, lots of good subjects to talk and share with people. So I want to welcome everybody to the Green Profit Academy Pros podcast, to show that digs into the challenges in a growing lawn care and landscape business while maximizing profits. I'm with Christine Era. I'm Steve Bousquet, like I said, and we are the green industry experts when it comes to profits, growth, and leadership. So we're going to start the podcast off by just telling everyone and sharing about who we are, where we come from, our background, how we got here, and what our mission is in serving the lawn and landscape industry. So, Christine, why don't you just start off with a little bit of about your background?
Yeah, so before we get started, I wanted to, make the note that we are going to be sharing a special giveaway at the end of the podcast. So be sure to listen all the way through for the details, because you won't want to miss that.
Oh, I almost forgot that special giveaway for being listeners to the first podcast.
Yeah, we want to make sure to get them their goodies. So as Steve shared, I'm Christine Era. I am the author of Profit First for Lawn Care and Landscape Businesses. And I have been an entrepreneur for over 25 years. So small business is something that I've always loved. I've, dived into it several times, in different industries. And I really kind of found my niche in the trades and lawn care and landscape industry. I am a Mastery Profit First professional. I am a pumpkin plan strategist, a Fix This Next advisor, and a certified accounting professional. So my background is I started off in business consulting and fell into accounting. And ever since, I felt both of them really went hand in hand. And you can't have one without the other. And it's been something I've been extremely passionate about, like I said, for over 25 years now.
Yeah, that's 25 years. That's quite a dedication. So we've met a number of years ago. We started working together, and we'll get into that story a little bit more. But, just when we met, you were one of the first Profit First professionals to be able to help me in my lawn care landscape business in a way that really needed. So, you being in the industry for 25 years really benefited me and my company, and then eventually led to Green Profit Academy. So, your dedication really, really has helped a lot of people. So my name is Steve Bousquet. I'm the owner of American Landscape and Lawn Science. I'm also the partner with Christine Era in Green Profit Academy. And in 2023, I'm celebrating my 40th year in the lawn and landscape industry. I've owned my own company since 1983. It's a big deal to have a company that's been around for 40 years. And it was not always easy. Things were not always, they weren't always the best of times. I really thought that if I knew how to plant trees and fertilize lawns and run a mower and run mowing routes and buy the right trucks and do marketing, that my business would just be successful. And I really learned the hard way that is not all it takes. I really had to become a student of the numbers, a student of accounting, and understanding what the numbers meant to me and my business. And once I understood the numbers and understood the accounting side of the business, that's when my business really grew And that's when my business started to give me the lifestyle that I really needed and wanted to support me and my family, and also the team that I have at American Landscape and Lawn Science. So I am also a Profit First professional at the mastery level. I'm a certified Fix This Next advisor. I'm also a certified chief question officer, working with Dr. Marilee Adams and doing work with Change Your Question, Change Your Life. So I am a dedicated lifelong learner. I'm a true believer in coaches, and I still get coached to this day. And one of my kind of like professional hacks is to use coaches to move forward faster. So I'm a big believer in that kind of support.
And you're also most recently a strengths coach.
Yes, I'm also a certified Clifton Strength Coach, which is really one of the Clifton Strengths, and Gallup is really one of the things that is near and dear to my heart. No matter where I go, I'm always talking about Gallup. I'm always talking about people's strengths, their strengths test. I cannot get away from it. I have strength tested my family, my friends, all my team here, the team at Green Profit Academy, and it's such a big part of my life. And I really have combined the Clifton Strengths with the choice map and some energy work that we do to kind of connect all three of them together. And it really supports people in a positive way.
Yeah. Yeah, I absolutely love the strengths assessment. And it's something that, I've been implementing in my other company, Core Growth Strategies, for several years now. And that in itself is a never ending journey. You learn about yourself as a leader, as an individual, and then the individuals that you surround yourself with and you're working with. So I feel that the strengths leadership concept is, such a valuable tool to have in any business.
Oh, it's so powerful. And, working with people and seeing how their strengths are showing up where they work, and then really honoring them and bringing them up into the company. I see it with my own leaders, and that's why we created the Emerging Leader Program, because when you have people in your company that have the capacity to lead, and if you give them the tools and let them focus on their strengths, they can accomplish amazing things.
So, Steve, I think it might be fun to kind of share with our audience, how we got here. Now they know a little bit about who we are, and you have a background in owning your own lawn and landscape business. I own my own, accounting company, and have worked in the industry for years, both of us. So it might be fun for us to kind of share, our background and how did we arrive here.
Sure. Would you like to go first, or you want me to go?
Yeah, sure. I'll jump in. So, like I said, I have been an entrepreneur for 25 years, and of course, it's been a rocky journey. Like for a period of time, I was what they call solopreneur. So that's where it's just me. It's just the clients that I worked with. And since I started off in business consulting, I was kind of doing one-off engagements, going into businesses, revamping them from front to back, looking at their systems and processes, and giving them just a really solid foundation. Then I fell into accounting. It was one of the clients that I was working with where they had some fraud in their business from the person that was currently managing their accounting. And so I started, they were like, hey, can you do this accounting stuff? And, of course I was young and I was like, sure. Yeah, no problem. I could do this. Fortunately, it was, second nature to me, understanding accounting, and it was a job costing accounting. So it was a heavier type of accounting than just, adding up your numbers. It's tying your expenses to your revenue and making sure that all kind of works out. And then I went through a period of time where I started to grow my business. And it pretty much grew naturally. We've had a lot of referrals that have helped us grow over years, and we didn't do marketing at all. It was up until recently, with our change in the business structure, we just didn't do marketing. It was organic growth by referral. And I eventually got some employees went through the struggle of having employees and ended up with what I call employee PTSD. And I'm sure there's plenty of business owners out there that have had that experience of getting employees, growing their business, and the employees just driving them mad, stressing them out, them having their own agenda. So then I decided, okay, I'm going to tear this entire business apart, which I did. And I just didn't love it anymore. I fell completely out of love with my business and truly understood where my clients, some of the clients I was working with during that time, like where they might be, because they had shared with me, I don't love my business anymore. And the work that I would do with them would help them fall back in love with their business. So I got to experience it firsthand, which, gave me a lot of knowledge and experience in working with these entrepreneurs, these business owners, because I really understood the struggles around employees finally, and how miserable it made me, because I literally tore that business apart down to the ground. And I felt like I kicked it off the highest cliff I could find and just walked away from it. And then I started another business with just myself, which is Core Growth Strategies, which I've been doing that business since 2012, and not being that solopreneur anymore. That business grew quickly. And again, we needed team members to really support the clients that we were working with. So that's when I decided I needed to get over my employee PTSD if I was going to grow the business. And I really had to come to terms as an entrepreneur. And I think several business owners feel this way. What am I doing, where I'm playing small, and have that, truthful talk with yourself to know, am I doing everything that I can to help everybody I can, or to live the life of my dreams, or am I playing it safe? And, that's where several things started to change with Core Growth Strategies, and which connected us, in that journey, because I decided not to play small. And I decided, in order for me to help business owners and, share the knowledge that I had to get out of my own way, and I had to be brave and not play small. And happy that I did, because here we are today. We've got the Profit First book. I've worked with several business owners that it's just been a joy to work with them in their business. And I'm much further along in my professional journey than I ever could have thought, when I started out 20 something years ago. So it's been a great journey. And we opened Green Profit Academy 2 years ago. Actually, I think it's going on 3 years now. Mm-hmm. And that has been an exciting journey in itself.
That definitely has been. Green Profit Academy has really transformed into something beyond my expectations, not only with how much we've been able to help people and work with them, but also in the products we've offered and the needs that we've been able to fill in the green industry. So I'm thrilled about Green Profit Academy. So my journey, how did I get here? I'm not going to start all the way back at the beginning. I will just share, if you read Profit First for Lawn Care and Landscape Businesses in chapter 1, the book starts off with me basically trying to figure out how to tell my wife that we were going to be moving to Alaska. At that time, it was 2001. I was about $250,000 in debt. And that did not include lawnmower payments, skid steer payments, truck payments. I was basically losing $50,000 a year and was borrowing $50,000 a year to pay for that loss. And it put me about $250,000 in debt. So I was watching a show on some cable network show, and they were talking about these people hiding out in Alaska. So I said, somehow that came to me as that would be the answer. So I was like, I'm going to go tell my wife we're going to go hide out in Alaska to get out of this debt situation. And I walked up to her, I looked at her, and I said, I'm going to go take a shower. So I went in the shower and I threw myself a pity party and for about 10 minutes, cried, got out of the shower. And, I knew I couldn't give up. I come from a very blue collar background. And my mom, who had passed 3 years earlier in 2008, one of the things, she never let us quit anything. If we signed up for it, we had to finish it. Whether it was a course, whether it was a team, whether it was a project, we had to finish it. Maybe we didn't re-sign next year, but we had to finish that. So I was not going to give up. Fortunately, I found a triage business coach, someone that really specialized in taking businesses that were on the brink of bankruptcy and helping them get straightened back out. And he definitely helped me on the path to recovery. But as I found my way to recovery, I started making some profits, but I still was not that profitable. And I just couldn't find someone to help me to figure that out. So I read in 2000, and my seasons would be good one year and then not so good the next year. So in 2010, I read a book. I had to read a book to help me with the accounting, was Accounting for the Number Phobic. And that just helped me to understand kind of all the terminology about the business side of accounting, not necessarily the tax side, because I needed help on the business side. And then I read another book by Greg Crabtree called Simple Numbers, Big Profit. And that really helped me to understand the importance of managing your business off of your balance sheet and also managing gross profit margins and what your gross profit margins needed to be healthy. And he had a system for all this, but it was so complicated. So that was in 2011. It was so complicated, I could not implement it myself, even how hard I tried. So when I ran into Mike Michalowicz's Profit First book, that really helped me to dial in where my profits should be. And then we started to grow because I had profits. Well, now I didn't have to manage all the cash flow. So I had a tax liability issue. We had the most profitable year ever. And my accountant said, congratulations, you had a super profitable year. And by the way, you owe $45,000. Yeah. So I didn't have the money set aside. So I had to borrow $45,000 to pay the tax liability, which was like literally a kick in the gut. Yeah. So best year ever, here's your tax. So something has to change. So that's when I instituted Profit First in my business. And I tried to do it by myself. And I just had a coaching call earlier today. And he said, this is simple, but it's not easy. And that's exactly how I felt. I was like, this Profit First is so simple, but it was not easy getting everything dialed in and getting all the money aligned. And it's, just a matter of getting a little help. So because I'm such a big fan of coaching, I hired a coach and they were helpful. They helped me get my current allocation percentages and target allocation percentages, but they were more of a coach. They weren't really a Profit First accountant side. So I kind of limped along a little bit for a couple of years with them. And then I met Christine, and she really helped me dial in my business in getting the actual numbers, what they should be, and quarter by quarter, also taking it from the very basic Profit First to an advanced level, which is really what I needed. Mm-hmm. My company grew 120% from 2018 to 2022. And what made that growth possible was having all my accounts set up in Profit First, because it was just percentages of. I didn't have to constantly figure out where the money was going to come from because our allocations were so dialed in. As the percentages, as the revenue increased, the percentages just covered everything. So it was a huge benefit. So Christine was such a big help to my business in the growth. I really believe that in my soul that the hardest working people I know are either farmers or in the green industry. Mm-hmm. So after Christine and I worked together, I said, we have to help more people in the green industry because it is a hard way to make a hard living. And there's nothing easy about it. You have equipment, weather, people, you're dealing with customers, plant material. It's just, there's always a struggle. So I kind of encouraged her to focus on the green industry, which she did. And she met some really good people. I have some great friends who are in lawn and landscape businesses that I knew she could help, and she really has. So with some encouragement, she focused on the lawn care and landscape industry, which led to the Profit First book and Green Profit Academy.
Yeah, and the thing that really, brought us together, Steve, is Steve and I met in a small group coaching setting. And, we didn't know each other before. We wouldn't really have crossed paths. So that was a great opportunity, where we had talked once or twice on a call with other entrepreneurs, and then at the annual Profit First event where Profit First professionals go, Steve and I met in person, and I was like, hey, I know that guy. And, we chatted it up and got to know each other. And then we ended up being in, shortly after that, the same small group coaching group, which was great. And you just kept bringing me challenges. You're like, these are the green industry challenges. And when I hear something, that's really stunting a business's growth, I can't help myself but, start talking about it and dig in deeper. And, then I did a Profit First assessment on your business, which when I do an advanced assessment, I really take that business and I turn it upside down. So you got the full gauntlet of, a Profit First assessment, which is now the scalable growth business model that we talk about in the book, right? And it was something that I had been working on and kind of pulling that together and seeing, well, how can Profit First not just be a cash management system for your business, but also be a system to where you can scale and grow your business while you maximize your profits? Because I know it can happen. I've seen it happen, and we have been supporting businesses, since the finishing touches went on that thing, and even through the process and in growing their business while maximizing their profits. So I think it just goes to show right there that, being open-minded and working with other entrepreneurs, the amount of growth and opportunity that really comes to the table, and, how you can move into your zone of genius and what really serves you as a business owner. And we both have, really stepped out of our day-to-day of our other business and are really wearing those CEO hats versus, getting in there and managing all the moving pieces. And I know I'm happy to say there are pieces of my business I don't even know, how to manage or how something works, and I stay out of my team's way. So I think just that small group coaching, opportunity and being in a small group and meeting other business owners, it really speaks to those opportunities.
Yeah, we met at Profit Con in New Jersey, and you talked to me and started that conversation at that point. And then it wasn't too long after that we were in a small group together, and it wasn't too long after that we were basically kind of running that small group in our way of getting things done and moving things forward.
Yeah.
So the small group was very powerful. I made a lot of progress in the small group. It really put me on the path to stepping out of the day-to-day of my business and creating roles and, stepping out of one role at a time. And I knew I had my hand in a lot of things in my company, but when, taking that role chart and then really working my way out of each step and then putting that person that needed to be there, it's a huge, huge step. So I have a lot of experience with, doing everything in a lawn and landscape business, regardless of what it is, whether it's sharpening blades, putting plow blades on at the beginning of the year, putting controllers in the truck, or relay switches, or mowing lawns, or pulling a hose. I've done it all, which gives me an advantage of understanding the operations side of the business very clearly. And but I didn't, like I said, I didn't understand the money side completely until I got working with Profit First. So, but the small group really, for you and I, it even got to the point where we knew each other so well. If something was wrong during small group, I would email you or text you, that was not right. Let's talk about this. I don't want to leave this hanging till the next small group, so we could work through things. So it's really important to rely on people who are in the small group to be supportive. So.
Yeah. And we've gotten really close to that community too. So, as we've gone through our journey, there's other business owners in different industries that we've been able to connect with. And that I think has really helped us grow. Because I know, from the first time that we've met where we are today, we have grown a lot, not only our businesses, but as leaders and individuals too. It's really been, life changing. And never had I ever said I was going to write a book. And I remember, that conversation where my original thought was, people who write books are crazy. Like, why would they spend all that time writing a book? I love reading books, but I knew that the book writing process, I was like, why would you commit to something like that? And then, you were like, hey, you should write this book. You should write this Profit First book. And, because we had been solving so many problems for the lawn care and landscape industry. And every problem that you brought to me, or you had one of your business associates bring to me, I was determined to solve, which I'm excited to say, like, we have over 60 tools in our Profit First toolbox for this industry. Because of that, it was a journey. And it was each problem, we're like, we're going to create a tool. There's an easy solution for that. So, you never know where you're going to end up when you start really taking control of your business and, living the life of your dreams, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. And, one of the things that, because I have visited 37 different landscape companies, and I have over 200 visits because some of them are multiple, but 37 unique. I've had 45 landscape companies come visit me. I've had so many visits that we have a system and a book for just the visits, a process for that. And, really understanding the challenges that lawn and landscape businesses go through, what the owner goes through. I, have been consulting for 20 years. In these lawn and landscape businesses, and it could be from hiring to marketing to rates of fertilizer, or what type of sand that is best to sweep in your paver joints. So, I mean, I have seen so much change over 40 years, but the problems are pretty consistent. Especially in the operation and finance side. The equipment is a lot more fun. The equipment's more efficient, but we still have to pay for it. We still have to hire people to operate it. So, those are the two challenges that pretty much remain constant. And the book, up until about chapter 5, it's pretty much a standard kind of Profit First book. But once you get into chapter 6, 7, and then 8, those are totally advanced levels. Those are advanced Profit First ideas and concepts that don't exist in any other Profit First book, not the original book, not some of the other ones that have been produced. It's really a higher level of accounting and strategy. And that's the, scalable growth model, which is, and we have a conversation one time about, wouldn't it be great to know when to grow, when to hire. And that's kind of what the scalable growth model puts out there, what your pay should be at under $1 million, $1 million to $2 million, 2 to 3, 3 to 5 million, over 5, and how much staff you should have and how much you should spend on marketing, equipment. And there's just so many different things that the scalable growth model can help you with. But how do you get there? And the tools that you mentioned, the Green Profit Toolbox, it's such a powerful toolbox that answers so many different questions, all these financial questions that we've wondered about, but haven't had the resources and the way you've created those tools where they auto-populate and that we only need to fill in a certain amount of information and the tool you created then auto-populates and figures out the percentages and ratios. So it's quite an opportunity for the green industry to take that and use that as a stepping stone.
Yeah, and I think it would be fun to, dive into the scalable growth business model in a later podcast and, start unpacking some of these tools and talking about them, because I think they really serve the challenges that this industry experiences. And it gives an easy solution, to where they know you're not alone. There's other people that have had this problem. Let's get you there faster. And I think with that, we should talk more about Green Profit Academy and, the services, like what we do over at Green Profit Academy, so people can have a better understanding of, that now they know who we are and how we got here. And then, with the book, Steve and I decided we need to open a new business, right? Because one wasn't enough, right?
Yeah, we had to open a business that really would support Green Profit Academy and support the lawn and landscape businesses we were going to work with. So opening another business, it's a big deal because we do not do anything like halfway, so we have a really professional website. We have a learning platform on Thinkific. We have multiple Facebook pages with support group, Profit First for lawn care and landscape professionals. On Facebook, there's a group for that with over 200 members in that group. As of today, and growing. I mean, it's growing every day. It grows a little bit. So, we have stepped into not only having the book that was written. Christine also did the audio book, which is available on Audible and on Apple. So, what do we do at Green Profit Academy? Go over some of the programs, Christine.
Yeah, so I want to talk about who we serve first, of course, and just kind of unpack that a little bit. So we work with the green industry. So it is lawn care, landscape, doing lawn application, maintenance. So anything in the green industry, whether you are providing one service or multiple services. Some of our clients have snow, irrigation, these different services in this industry. So we work with businesses that are in that industry that are, they're starting up, they're trying to grow their business. And we have clients that have been in, the industry for, like over, 40 years even. And, which they do an amazing job at running their business and getting Profit First dialed in. So we are focused on the green industry, and we're here primarily, just to support them. We have our offerings. So where do we start? So when the book came out, we had the toolbox, right? So we started with the toolbox, and then we also have, we developed 3 different levels of webinars. So for the Profit First, Profit First is something that you can go trying to implement it yourself. The more complicated your business is, the more complicated it's going to be, to implement the system, which you may need to work with a professional. So we have 3 levels of Profit First webinars. We have a basic level, a foundational level, and then an advanced level. And you can move through this webinar self-paced. Once you sign up for it, you never lose it. And it's a great tool to get Profit First implemented in your business. Our start down that avenue to gain a better understanding. Is this something I can do on my own? Or is this something I need to work with a professional on? And I like that because, it's a journey, and even if you work with a professional, you still need to understand the basic methodologies of Profit First and why, and the opportunities within there. So the webinar helps anybody and everybody who takes it, whether it's your internal bookkeeper or it's your partner or you, to understand how to implement Profit First.
And one of the reasons why we have this course is because when I was first trying to implement Profit First, I would tell my bookkeeper, my office manager, do this, this, and this. And then, 2 quarters would go by and it would be wrong. And I would be like, oh, this is wrong. But they did exactly what I told them to do.
Yeah.
I had not given them the exact details. So with the basic and the foundational courses, that is where your bookkeeper or your office manager, they can tune in to that, watch it over again, go back and if they have questions and see. So it's not the owner instructing the accounting people on how to do accounting in Profit First. They can watch those courses, and Christine has done videos on that. There's walkthroughs. So it's kind of one of the things I was like, we got to have something where the owner, because we don't always do the best job explaining accounting processes and procedures to people as owners of lawn care and landscape businesses. I was as guilty as you can be in that. So Christine has taken the time to make sure that our team can implement it. We don't have to be the one, at the QuickBooks keyboard.
Yeah, and owners don't really have time to teach their team, right? We want to mentor them, we want to lead them. And there's other things in the business we need to work on, but it's extremely difficult to try to teach team members what we may not know how to do exactly. So if there's a quicker way to get them there and give them a support system, I'm all for that because they're going to learn firsthand, and they might even teach me a thing or two when we sit down for a conversation.
Yeah.
So we have our Profit First webinars. That's kind of our entry level, along with our toolbox that we have that has over 60 tools, and our membership toolbox has 60 tools and growing, because it's, I'm always finding solutions and creating tools for things that get brought to us and needing solutions. So then we have our peer group, and our peer group is either for those smaller businesses that are just getting started in Profit First, or they're a business owner who just doesn't have the time and capacity to maybe dedicate as much time or like the structure of like a small group coaching program. So Steve, did you want to talk about our peer group a little bit?
Yeah, the peer group is, I like to refer to as our March to $1 million. So if it's for the company that's under $1 million that wants to get to $1 million, they might not know all the like key performance indicators. They might not know about how to what to track, when to track it, how to track it, what reports to get. So it's really the peer group is to set people up as kind of a foundational financial basis. And it's so it's a group that meets once a month, and we'll go into details on another podcast. But basically, you meet once a month. There's accountability. There's support. Includes the Profit First webinar, and so it's really for that guy or that woman who wants to get their business to the $1 million mark, or at least wants to grow their business, but doesn't have all the resources. They don't have a full-time bookkeeper or full-time office manager. But this is a way they can get support monthly with me, Christine, and their peer group, just to help them move forward.
Yeah. And I love the peer group because, we have some younger entrepreneurs in the group, and they bring some great challenges that we have solved, from, some pricing issues, getting, and a better understanding of their pricing issues, talking about their equipment, implementing Profit First. Even some marketing conversations have come up in there, and you can just see the lights go on and the enthusiasm that they share when, one guy who knows more about marketing starts talking, and the other person, listening and going, oh yeah, that's great. Let's get together. So there's some great collaboration there, and just finding solutions faster. So I really love, the peer group for, those new entrepreneurs. Then we have small group coaching. So our small group coaching, I love it. The small group coaching, it's one of my absolute favorites, I think, because we've been doing it the longest. And I've really grown a connection to some of our coaching clients in there. And we don't have more than 3 people per group, so we can support more on an individual basis, which I love. And I think the other thing I love about it is that we give enough time for people to, have that camaraderie that can occur, and they'll give each other a hard time, or they'll joke around, or, there's times where we've had small group coaching calls, and I think I was honestly laughing from the start to finish with some of the joking around that goes in there, or how these guys were approaching their challenges. And it was just so positive and fun to work with these individuals.
Yeah, the small group coaching is a lot of fun, and that small group meets once a month. And then also once a month, they can bring their team to the mastery meeting, and they can bring their office manager. You can bring your manager. You can bring your bookkeeper, depending on the subject or the topic we're going over that month. Sometimes it's really accounting kind of focus, and other times it's team engagement. It's strength-based focus. So it's that kind of personnel or team building. So depending on who you have on your team and what topic would determine who you're going to bring. And but so you get to meet and develop the relationship with people in your small group, include your team. It includes the Advanced Profit First webinar. Yep. The small group coaching also includes the toolbox and includes basic webinar for your office manager or bookkeeper for Profit First. So it's a pretty comprehensive program that really supports you all year round in your team. And it also there's also office hours that are available. So if your team has a question, they can pop in on office hours, or if you have a question, you can pop in on office hours, or if you get really stuck on something, Christine and I are available to help guide you through, a big challenge or a major issue, either in the toolbox or that you're having with your business. Because, it can be lonely running a business, and getting really sound advice based on your goals and your numbers is much more valuable than just getting general random input from people.
Yeah. And I think you can relate with this, Steve. I know I do when I talk with my team, is just as lonely as it gets as an entrepreneur and small business. Our main people who are driving our business, they feel like they're in a silo as well. And they have challenges and questions, and, they're unsure and they don't want to put things back on us. And so I love, when the team mastermind that we have, because we're teaching them and they're connecting with other team members, from other companies, and realizing like, wow, I'm not alone. Like, they're feeling the same thing, or they have the same challenge. So I think, in that way it's empowering. And then the office hours that we have, which we have twice a month, it's an hour to where anybody can show up. They can post some questions. We will address them, with the implementation of Profit First. So I love that too, because it gives that space for their internal office manager or bookkeeper who is really trying to do their best, show up and ask some great questions on ensuring that Profit First is getting implemented in the business, and they're not putting it back on the business owner, because that I know can be challenging and frustrating when we hand something off to one of our team members and we're saying, here, own this. But then they come back to us and they ask us questions because we're their main support system. So it really gives them that space to own it and to implement it and to ensure it's successful so they can show up as their best self. So I love that we have that time for them to come to us with those questions and teaching them.
Yeah, people really enjoy the team mastermind. They really do. And then our next, speaking of other people, leaders in our business working in a silo, our next program is leadership programs. And we have two different paths for the leadership program. We have owning leadership, and we have the emerging leader program. Why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so this is a program that Steve and I developed, over this last year. And I remember we were actually on a plane flying to doing site visits. And Steve was like, hey, I have this great idea. Like, when he had the idea about me writing the book. And he's like, these companies really need leadership support. And we need to figure out how to get, their emerging leaders up, to the front and feeling supported, like we're supporting the owners. And so, I opened up a Word document on my laptop on this airplane tray and just started getting to work. And by the time we landed, we had our owning leadership and our emerging leader programs designed. And because that's where my strengths are, is Steve has an idea. And then I'm like, yeah, let me get to that. I am going to put something together, and it just happens like magic. So I think that's one of the things that makes us a really good team. And the owning leadership, it's a path for the owners to get their mission, vision, and purpose and immutable laws, so their core values really dialed in, so they can hand those over to their emerging leaders, which are in the Emerging Leaders program. And then we dive into learner leadership. So, how we can keep that open, positive mind and ask questions, powerful questions, to not only maybe our business partner, but the people that are in our business, from our team members, our vendors, our customers, anything like that. And we unpack the, leading from your strengths. So the basics around leading from your strengths. And we have the owners and emerging leaders on a similar path. But we're giving them their own space to where we're working with a group of emerging leaders who can connect to other emerging leaders and other businesses and really share challenges. So we're giving them that network, to connect with and feel supported. And then our owning, leadership, it's just the owners coming together and kind of having that same experience. And I think the other thing I love about that owning leadership program is we have the Mind Your Own Business retreat that we hold annually to bring them all together in person.
Yeah, that's a super powerful retreat, and it kind of really supports the whole concept behind staying curious as a leader, always learning, asking questions, and not being the answer guy. And one of the reasons that we wanted to develop the leadership program was because as a business owner, anyone who is the person where everything has to go through them, or their team can't make any decisions without them, so they can't really grow the company. Or if they have really good people who can make decisions, they want to have a way to support them that is structured, and they don't have to train the person because the owner's already so busy. The Emerging Leader Program is a way to help support and train the emerging leader, so they can step in and up into those roles and give the owner some more time to focus on other things in the business, other things in their life. I worked during the green season. I worked 7 days a week for 20 years. And it just became such a habit to do that, even when I didn't need to do it any longer. I was still doing it, and I, had to break up with my business. Like I shared with the people, and we'll get to a podcast on this about how I had a breakup song because I was so used to that 7 days a week. So just getting out of the way of our emerging leaders, giving them the tools. So the Owning Leadership Program and the Emerging Leader Program work together to give the business the strength and leadership, and that staying curious, it gives them the tools and the path to do that. It's just, I'm so excited about it because that's the one thing that really allows an owner personally to grow and a business to grow is by strengthening and developing the leaders.
Yeah. And that's what I'm hearing, from the people that we work with is it's really hard to push the boulder up the mountain yourself, right? To where you're the only one in the business talking the talk. You feel like you're walking the walk, but then you're going, why does nobody else get this? Why aren't they helping me? And it's not that they don't want to help. The intention is there. It's, we're not doing a good enough job communicating it, though we assume that we are. And, thinking, I talk about this stuff all the time, and we really don't as business owners. We're thinking it, and we may drop subtle hints here and there, and communication is a strength of mine, but I even find that I have weaknesses when it comes to communication because I'm not communicating enough to my team. And that's where I have seen, the business owners that we work with say like, hey, they're starting to get on the same page, or this is shifting and my team is better understanding. Or one of my favorites is, I was telling my internal bookkeeper this for years, and they had one call with you guys and now they get it. Like, what was I not saying? And kind of, that palm to forehead moment. So I think the support that we're providing is giving that clarity on the company's needs to the team, teaching the team members, what the business needs and how the owner needs to be supported. And then the owners being able to understand how the team needs to be supported, or where their blind spots are. So those are some great feedbacks that I've gotten, from the program. So I know like we're doing something right, which was the whole point to begin with.
Oh yeah. I mean, this mission, vision, and purpose was something either people didn't have at all, or if they had it, it wasn't meaningful, and it wasn't like based on their very existence or purpose for being in the business. So when we're working with them on their mission, vision, or purpose, it's so meaningful and so impactful. They don't rush through it. There's just no way to rush through it. They have to take the time and give it really the effort and space that it needs and deserves. So when they're pushing and sharing this with their team, it's so meaningful. It's much easier to rally around, and and understand the conceptions behind that. So, yeah, I'm really proud of that program and already the progress that people have had, and the vision talk and the clarity around the vision, and the immutable laws,
Yeah.
really narrowing that down, and their teams like, oh, that's what we stand for. I can get behind that. And talk about a recruiting tool and a retention tool for your team. I mean, they want to know why we're at work, what we stand for, and why we're here every day. So
Yeah,
it's
and I'm sure we'll do some future podcasts on, what that looks like, right? Because
yeah,
I know there was a point in my entrepreneurial, journey where I was like, mission, vision, and purpose. What? Like what, what are y'all talking about here? So I would love to, to just talk about that, have a whole podcast talking about that, because it's such a great topic, and just getting an idea of like, what does that mean and what does that look like in your business? I think some of the other things that has been shared, and you bring this up, Steve, because I know you've worked with some of these people on, kind of ironing out that implementation of Profit First as they come in, and understanding like where what percentages should be allocated to what in the business. And you've shared with me plenty of times like they have the right money in the right accounts now, like, and in our groups too, is the right money is in the right accounts, and I can see it clearly, and I know what the business needs, and I think that's just a huge win, and shows that this is what Profit First is for.
Yeah. And when they say, oh, this is the first winter I ever had enough money to make it through the whole winter without dipping into my prepays.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry this winter about how I'm going to make my bills. Or, I've already had my tax account is fully funded. I don't have to worry about where am I going to come up with the money, and just the clarity, and also sharing that clarity with their team. Like, oh, this is how much we get to spend on equipment. I know my team, it's never enough equipment. We never have enough equipment, but now with Profit First, they have a really clear vision of what the company can spend on equipment. They stop asking me for it. When we buy something, it's strategic, it's purposeful, and it's serving our mission. So Profit First, I just am such a big fan of it. And, one of my biggest things is like, I love tools, and I love them when they're in the right place. So the sockets, the standards are in their drawers, the metrics are in their drawers. And that's what Profit First allows, that the money for the payroll is in the payroll account. The money for the material and subs is in that account. The profits in the account. The taxes are in the account. So lining all that up. And I have other things to focus on. We all do, hiring, sales, marketing, equipment, living a life. And we have systems for so many other things. We really need to make sure we have a system for how the cash moves in and out, the cash flows in our business.
Yeah. And I love how it empowers a internal person to manage that versus the owner. So that is a huge game changer in a business, to where, you can leave and guess what? The bills are going to get paid, and payroll's going to be funded, and you're all good. So that's a game changer alone in a business.
Oh, it is a huge game changer. And I'm a huge fan of vacation. I have taken multiple 4-week vacations, even during the season, not just in the winter. And my team knows exactly where to put the money, when to put the money, where, and where it needs to go, when it needs to go there. So that's what Profit First. It's a freedom tool. I call it my freedom tool, because it just gives me my mind freedom to think of other things. And I don't have to stay and do payroll every week myself or my wife. I don't have to worry about how or when the vendors are going to get paid. It's all set up ahead of time, which is, to me, it's just one of the smartest things I've ever done in business.
Yeah, so it reminds me of one of the quotes that I share in the later chapter of, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And,
right.
And that really makes me think, that quote has always reminded me of the importance of teamwork in a business, not living in a silo, implementing systems like Profit First, and even connecting with other business owners, in other avenues, like working with a coach, working with a professional, having a sounding board, because it can be a very lonely place. And And yeah, you might go fast and you get there, but did you end up in the right place that you wanted to?
Right, right. Absolutely. Yep. It's one of my favorite quotes too, right? If you want to go far, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. So we're kind of coming to the end of our first podcast for Green Profit Academy Pros. And we went over about who we are, how we got here, what some of the things that we do, some of the products we offer, and some of the ways we've helped the lawn care and landscape industry. And, stick to the end. There's going to be some free gifts at the end of the podcast. We'll put those down in the show notes. And I want to thank you for joining us. And would you have a closing remark, Christine?
Yeah. So in chapter 1 of the book, as you know, I share your story, Steve. So in our next episode, I'm going to be interviewing Steve Bousquet on a deeper level to talk about his business journey. We're going to unpack his challenges, his pain points, and understanding his business, and how he really dug himself out of $250,000 in debt. So we're going to, be putting Steve here in the hot seat, and he's going to share his story. So I'm excited to interview him on our next episode. So what are we going to be doing for our listeners, Steve?
Okay. For the first 10 people that subscribe to the podcast, we're going to be sending them a autographed Profit First for Lawn Care and Landscape Professionals book from Christine Era. She's going to sign it. And so subscribe to the podcast, and we will make sure that you get that book. If you can, after you subscribe, we'll get your information. We'll contact you. If you can leave your email, or we'll get your information somehow. Make sure we get you the book.
Excellent.
All right. Well, that was a great first podcast, Christine, and I look forward to many more.
Great. I will see you on our next episode.
Thanks. Thanks for listening to the Green Profit Academy Pros Podcast,
the show that digs into the challenges of growing a lawn care and landscape business while maximizing your profit.